Hello, welcome to the Reason Composer class. This first video is for you to get acquainted with Reason's workflow. I'm going to show you a simple song and explain you how is that the program works. For a start, always remember that Reason is divided in two main sections. The rack window, which is this one here, and it emulates a real live instrument rack and is where you're going to create your instrument. And the other main window is this one, the sequencer window. The sequencer window is some kind of a timeline where you're going to record your MIDI notes, as in this track or this one, and your automation, another type of MIDI data as well. Notice how if I select an instrument on my sequencer track, it will show it on the rack window. So basically what's happening here is that I have a bunch of devices that are going to be playing notes that are triggered by what's happening in the tracks. Let's listen. So I hope that it's clear how the instruments in the rack window are triggering the notes and rhythms that we program here on the sequencer window. It's a good thing that the sequencer window can be detached by pressing on this button here. This is important when you're working a lot in your sequencer window. You need as much visual space as you can get. If I now close this window, it reattaches itself again to the main Reason window. Now let's focus on the rack window for a bit. All of these instruments that you see here, part of the Reason instruments, such as this synthesizer called the Subtractor, Dr. Rex, a loop player, a great sampler, another synthesizer, some effects. For example, here I have a delay, a digital echo connected to this device here. A drum machine, all of them are connected to my main mixer right here. I'm going to hit the tab key to flip the rack. Again, the tab key. You can see how everything is connected here just as if it was a real rack of instruments. Audio outputs into the channels of the mixers, audio into the delay effect and back into the mixer, and there's a lot of things that you can do with Reason's signal flow. You can get really creative with it. We're going to learn more of that later on. So I hope this helps you to see the big picture of Reason. Basically you have two main sections, the rack window where you put together your devices just as in building blocks, synthesizers with effects and mixers and audio and routing tools, and again the sequencer window which we can detach, where each of the devices and instruments has its own track to read the data that you can write manually or record with an external MIDI keyboard. I'm now playing MIDI notes with my keyboard that are triggering the sounds in Reason. So again, we are capable of recording and editing all types of MIDI data into Reason. You can also notice how some of the parameters here, these faders and these knobs, have a green highlight. That means that these parameters are automated, that they can be programmed to be modified through time. Let's take a look to them. If you remember this basic principle of having sound generators on the rack window and music or MIDI data on the sequencer window, you will have no major troubles to learn Reason.